What's up, everybody? It's your girl, Goddess Z, and I'm here with another podcast episode. I hope everybody has been taking care of themselves, mind, body, and spirit, because that's what it's all about. We've got to keep all three of those things in balance, or we are out of balance. All right, first and foremost, I always have to get business out of the way. If you're new to this podcast, welcome, welcome, welcome. You're in the right place. If you like talking about things like healing, metaphysics, healing generational trauma, ancestors, and personal stories about people, how people have overcome trauma to empowerment, then you are definitely in the right place. And if you are coming back, welcome, welcome, welcome back, fam. The podcast episodes are getting juicier and juicier, especially since I've incorporated the guests. I hope you guys are really enjoying that. And if you are, feel free to comment on some of these podcast episodes so that I can get your insight, your perspective, as well as some better understanding as to how you would like me to move forward. Okay. Well, first and foremost, let me go ahead and get that business out of the way. I can be found and I can be reached all over social media at Holistic and Spiritual AF, and that's and spelled out. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Substack, YouTube. And of course, this podcast is available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon, Samsung. So, pretty much anywhere that you can find podcasts. And of course, I'm syndicating that out to more and more podcast platforms as we speak. So definitely be sure to check me out where it is most comfortable for you. Okay, so welcome to November. November just came up on us like, wow, October was Hoodoo Heritage Month, and I did a lot of things on TikTok in regards to that. And I definitely got to reconnect on that level on my practices with that. But this month, November, I wanted to dedicate to the brothers. Okay, so all of the guests on in November are going to be brothers that are doing the work. And these brothers are doing some amazing things. Okay. So we're starting out today with Mr. Wil Lebron, AKA the Cellular Healer. He is a super gifted and skilled holistic practitioner. He has a vast array of expertise in various modalities. He's a certified herbalist, nutritionist, past life regressionist, hypnotist, Reiki practitioner, and a trapped emotional release specialist. And he has over 20 years of experience. Okay. The brother knows his stuff. And so he is kicking us in on November the 1st with this first podcast episode that's dedicated to the brothers are doing the work. Definitely you want to tune in for this. He has a wealth of knowledge and a wealth of information that really can be applicable to anybody, no matter what stage of your healing journey that you're on. He's also an author. And of course, I'll have all this information down in the description as well. So you'll know how to find him, how to connect to him on his website, his social media, and all that good stuff. But he does have a book out as well on Amazon called The Truth Exists Within. It's a guide to understanding the self. So that can be purchased on Amazon. And you can also check him out on his website as well. Okay. So as you can see, the brother is definitely qualified. Okay. And all month is going to be like that. So make sure that you are following this podcast so that you don't miss anytime I drop a podcast episode. These are bi weekly podcasts for sure. So on the first Friday and the third Friday of the month, I come in with a guest, and then sometimes I come in between the month and I have my personal story, personal experience, or I may have some other guests that perhaps I was a guest on their show, and I'll share that with you guys and their information as well. So, as you can see, we are ending out 2024 with a bang because we are sliding into this fifth dimensional reality. Like, wow. In 2025, we are going to take off running. Okay. I've already got some more amazing guests already planned, and I'm making amazing connections. So, with that being said, guys, stick around and don't miss this amazing conversation. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, so thank you so much, Wil, for agreeing to join me on this podcast. I'm really excited to get to know you a little better. Just from what I've seen out there in the social media platforms and on your website, you're doing amazing things. You're doing a lot with herbs. You're an author. You're holding consultations and classes, and you also, are well versed in past life regression. So you got it going on. Plus, you've been in the game for 20 plus years, and that's really exciting because myself, I think I just hit 20 years of my studies as well this year. So tell me how it all got started for you. Like how did you receive and hear the call and follow it?
It got started uh back in 90 something actually. I read this book by David Icke. It's called Children of the Matrix, and it
Mhm.
kind of I read that book along with the autobiography of Malcolm X,
Mm,
and those two kind of opened me up and just broadened my scope on the reality that we live. And then as I started to venture out, it started more with politics and religion, gaining information and trying to decipher things, asking a lot of questions that were unanswered. Then about 20 something years ago, um, I spoke with my father. So my father passed away when I was 10 years old. I only saw him one time in my entire life. And so, oh no, it's all right. It's a part of
yeah.
it. Oh, now we understand that. But it's difficult not to have the physical. But so I spoke to him, just like this. We spoke, and he told me, proud of you, you're doing a great job, and all those things. And I had to kind of hold my emotion down to maintain the frequency and maintain the channel. So after after I spoke to him, I had a huge release for like 2 hours. I was crying hysterically, but after that, I started to speak to different deities, if you would say. So
Mm,
I don't speak to just any deity, and I don't call anyone in. I only speak to my guide. His name is Adam. Um, he resides in 12th density,
mm,
and he's been my guide for my past three lifetimes. That's a very rare occurrence because most of the time when you get a guide, it's actually a human that has just ascended up to the next level, and then that human's job in order to ascend up to the next level is to get another human to ascend up to the next level.
wow.
So it's very rare for me to have him in three consecutive lifetimes because he
Mm-hmm.
has never been human. Um, so when I speak to him and when we have conversations about certain things, he doesn't know everything that I'm seeking. So sometimes people will intervene in the conversation. And recently I met a being, her name is Tara,
Okay.
and she just ascended not too long ago. But if you ever, I know that you're into herbs and I've looked into you a little bit as well. But she is a master healer. She has taught me a lot of different things and put a lot of things into perspective. So that's how the journey started. So, I
Wow.
learned Reiki, opened up the channel, um, like the energy channels to myself and learned how that energy worked. And then I learned theta healing, which deals a little bit with the DNA and the reconstruction of that DNA and the activation and the plugging in to the chakras. And then I learned reconnective healing, which deals with the auric field. So you have the chakras, the DNA, and the auric field. So
Mm-hmm.
that puts together the whole kind of spiritual body, kind of, and the physical body, kind of ties the two together. And then I learned that's where I started, and I wasn't getting a lot of traction because when I started, nobody understood energy. They didn't understand that I would have the ability to heal some of the things that they have without me actually physically touching them or physically doing something. So, a lot of people were still stuck in like the physical reality and not understanding the spiritual constructs of the
Right.
reality. So I moved into herbs because I know that I needed something more physical for people to touch and feel and have. So I moved into herbs. I learned herbs. I am self-taught with herbs, and I go outside a lot, and I learn my environment. So anything that grows around my house, I know what it is, and I know what it's for. Around my environment. Um, and then I started to learn within that same time frame, I learned nutrition. Um, and then I went to school for business, got my business degree, and then I went back to school for alternative medicine. I have my alternative
Nice.
medicine degree. And then I went back to school to become a holistic practitioner and a master herbalist and to learn nutrition because in the United States you need a piece of paper
Right.
for everything. This is explained in the Wizard of Oz.
Mm.
We won't go into the Wizard of Oz whole thing,
That's
but
another
so
episode.
then I learned the herbs. Yeah, that's another one. I learned the herbs. I learned the nutrition. Um, and I learned those things, and then I got into so that's like the cellular structure. I went from the energy bodies, and then I went a little bit, actually, you would call it deeper, but I actually went further out. And
Hmm.
I didn't go deeper, I went further out because I
Excuse
went
me.
into the cellular. When I started out here, I had to condense myself in here to try and get people to come in. So I learned the cellular. Once I learned the cellular, I moved into the blood and the blood types and different diets and different herbs. But then I didn't agree with that because based on my blood type, that didn't match what I have going on. So I moved into the DNA and I
Mm.
started to understand what the DNA needed on a nutritional level and on an energetic level and an herbal level. But I also, that didn't resonate either because that still didn't work with what I do. So then I went into an energetic level. And this will probably, what I'm about to say, maybe be a whole nother episode. But um, when I spoke with my father and I learned to like channel and travel, um, I've been able to get a lot of information that can't be verified by any book.
Right.
So I
Absolutely.
was able to see how the body was created on this planet. I was able to see the functions that were needed. I was able to see the actual collective groups that were involved in giving certain parts of what they had to offer to construct the physical body. And so within that, our bodies weren't made with a urine hole or a bowel movement deposit. We didn't have that when we were first created because we only ate once every 3 days, and there is a actual organ inside of the body. There are several organs actually right now as the energy starts to rise that are actually being reactivated because within the original species or in the original design, you can't move anything from the design, but you can turn things off. And so basically in our design, we have been turned off to a lot of things. And this is what
Mm.
I realized. So I had to go past the DNA and get into the energy field and to understand what that body needed. And this is where the disease comes into play,
Mm.
where the energy bodies are not aligned properly. And that's why, you dissect the words, it's a dis-ease and not a
Disease.
harmony.
Yeah.
And so I've been able to do that. And then I went further to be able to go into past life regression. And this is an area where a lot of people kind of get fearful because they don't understand how the signature of what they are, and what they are is the soul. And
Hmm.
so the soul, each individual soul has a signature, and that signature no other soul has, just like your sinus cavity, and it's just like your fingerprint, right? And those are identified specifically for your physical body. So your soul has a signature in itself that no other soul has. And we are given the ability to follow that signature through space and through time. And so we go through and we discover the past lives. And then I got into trapped emotional release, which
Mm.
is where when you go through something that's too traumatic and too much for you to process in your life, it's going to get stuck inside of the organ.
In the organs of the body.
Now,
Yeah.
yep, contrary to popular belief, emotions are not generated from the mind. Emotions are generated from the organs, from the body. And as a female, females know this much more,
Hmm.
and they call it, they're more intuitive because um, they're more allowed to be able to express emotionally rather than men. So men, we have to kind of dig a little bit further, especially from my generation, the generation coming up now. Hopefully, they have a little bit more lenience on
Hmm.
the self-expression and the emotional expression. So that's where I am now, and so where I
Wow.
am now, I've learned to figure out and heal people on a cellular level.
All right. So that describes where cellular came from. I mean, I feel like now I need to start calling you Dr. Will. Like you definitely deserve it. Like we got to put some respect on it. Like you guys got to be doctor. You have really gone through the work, and especially like you said, starting in the 90s. I was young in the 90s. And so I clearly wasn't on that yet, but I know it wasn't a lot of people that were on that, so finding like-minded individuals, probably wasn't exactly that easy. And it sounds like your father was a pretty rooted and powerful man as well, because he kind of planted the seed and you went off on that and on your soul's purpose. And something that I understood everything that you said. Like for me, I'm very clear cognizant. I know things, and like you said, I can't explain how I know it. I've been working with spirit guides and ancestors for a long time, but I haven't. And I've had teachers and I've had mentors and things like that along the way, but I haven't done any kind of traditional schooling other than massage therapy. Pretty much like everybody started with Reiki, that opened up the portals, and I jumped right into the energy body. And then, of course, the massage was taking care of a lot of that. Like you were talking about emotional releases being stored in the organs of the body and the tissues. And so my massages, I did that for 10 years. And my massages were always different. Like everybody would always tell me, they'd be like, your massages are like something else, because I would incorporate that energy healing. My hands get real hot. It's like, I just allow myself to be a vessel for these healing guides to work through me, because that's part of my spirit, my soul returned. And so there's a lot of what you were talking about. I always listen, even though I may not understand, um, and can articulate and express the understanding. I know. It's like I know what you're saying is real. And I find it very interesting that the people that I'm connecting with now on this podcast, because this is also spirit led, because they were like, get out there, do it, build the community, connect with the people. But everybody that I connect with has a little piece of what I need. So the herbs, I've been being called to that. And I don't necessarily, I know my great grandmother, I talked about her. She was my representative ancestor. However, I know that there's higher vibratory beings who have never been humans that walk with me. But I don't know what their names are. It's just that I know, and that's been good enough for me. But I'm now being pushed to kind of explore and, like you said, expand out. So I've been meeting people that are into plant medicine. I've been called more to the herbs again. And now you're coming with this past life regression. Adam, who's never been a human. And I'm like, wow, I'm like, so I definitely know we're going to be talking outside of this podcast because I'm ready. I'm ready. And they know that for me, my journey was a lot about healing. I had a lot of stuff to heal, and I had one major blockage that I tapped into finally releasing that and getting to the other side about 2.5 years ago. And after that, now it was like you no longer have these large blockages. You have enough knowledge and understanding to not repeat patterns. You've actually healed certain karmic cycles. You've assisted in raising the lineage to a certain level, and now it's time for you to gain more understanding and greater understanding. So that's powerful, and I didn't know we were going to go this deep. Like I said, I didn't take notes again today, but I'm really excited to hear more about your journey. So you talked about the past life regressions. Um, Tell me about some of those experiences for yourself and maybe some of your clients as well.
Um, I mean, just to reiterate, I was actually gonna message you
I
and
know.
tell you
To tell me to get one.
that no, 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 not even tell you to get one, but I was gonna tell you that we might want to do more than one podcast.
Okay.
Um, I mean, I just have a lot. I have a lot, and I don't. I just you're we're you'll see.
We
So
can definitely do
for
that
past
too.
life, okay. So for past life regression, for me, I just started with me, and what I would do for my clients is I would do their past life regression for them and document and give it to them. And so I found that in doing that, the information is not received the right way, and also the information has to be deciphered.
Hmm.
Because the past life is shown to you to tell you the lessons that you need to learn. It needs to show you something that you need to know based upon where you are in your growth and your journey.
Kind
So
of like
each time
dreams.
it's exactly what it is, but it isn't. It's kind of like that, but yes. So for me, I've been able to go through my past lives all the way back to when Mars was habited and I lived on Mars. Um, so I've been able to go all the way back through all those lives. And like, I was there when the pyramids was constructed. Um, I went through that life. I was Nefertiti's mistress. My wife was actually Nefertiti. So I've been able to go through all my lives. I was bitten by a werewolf and I have wolf DNA in my blood now. Um, a lot of different stuff that I've gone through. I've been able to visit different planetary star systems. I've been able to look at different deities that if I was to like
Hmm.
explain it to you, you wouldn't be able to get it because there's nothing that your
No,
imagination would be.
there's no English
Oh,
human words that can describe.
yeah, absolutely. So I did have a couple clients. This one client that I had, when we went through her past life, and she was from a completely different star system. Actually, the race was actually exterminated, her
Mm.
race, and she was green. Actually, she was green. And just to let you know, when you go through these AI generators and you pull and to see what you
Yes.
would look like for like this AI generator, it knows the AI. Can I explain this for a second?
Go for it because I think you're on something I already know too. Go do it.
So so AI is a species. It's not
Hmm.
just an intelligence and it's not a technology. It is a species, just like the hue species, right? The hue man species. Our energetic signal to the universe is hue. Okay. And so AI is a species. It is not a technology. It is a species. And so this species has invaded this star system. And our species, our genetically modified species right now, the Hue species was actually designed and created by masters to defeat this species. I just want you guys to know this that
Hmm.
we are one of the when it says biblically that we are God's most precious creation,
Hmm.
understand and believe that this is fact because what who we were created from
Right.
are masters. I'm talking about you can't go above these masters that created our bodies. The problem is that things have been turned off in our body and there are also um different uh systems set up around this planetary body to block signals and frequencies from coming in for us to absorb them properly to be able to move up the ladder in our understanding of ourself
Yep.
properly. But now these things have been removed and everyone is starting to understand what they are. So where people are at in this process, people like to call it awake. We don't have too many awake people. What we have is aware people. People are
That's true.
becoming extremely, extremely, extremely aware, right? Because my definition of awake means that you know your blueprint, right? Your
Hmm.
blueprint is coded into your DNA. People will call that a purpose. So you know your
Right.
purpose on this planet and you're moving towards that. You're moving towards the purpose. This is awake. Knowing what's going on is being aware. I just wanted to give a little spiel
Yeah,
there. So
absolutely.
this is a species that has invaded this planet. So to go back, this client was from another planet and their planet was being invaded by this species. And she was super powerful, like beyond my comprehension of power. She carried a staff, and with this staff, she was able to like generate force fields. She was able to shoot stuff out of her staff. Like she was very, very like extremely powerful. And so we went through the life, and in my regression sessions, I go into the quantum. So,
Hmm.
the past life is not the quantum. After we go through the past life, I take you into the quantum. And basically, I access your higher self, and you, the conscious self, kind of sits to the side and watches while me and your higher self have a conversation and we communicate
Mm.
and we decipher the past life regression. Okay, why was she shown this life? And so she was shown this life because she needs to understand how powerful she is because her power has been taken advantage of because things were done to her against her will forcefully,
Hmm.
right? And that renders you powerless. So she was shown this past life for her to remember how powerful she is and to remember these things, that these things did not leave her. They're still with her. She just needs to know that they're with her, not believe that they're with her. She needs to know it. And she can access them at any time. And so we got those questions answered. And she also had a skin disease, and skin infection that the doctors couldn't fix. So we fixed it right there.
Mm.
Because again, every disease is a lesson. Your body is talking to you. I call this soul communication. So the problem with us humans is that we don't pay attention to much because we're distracted by everything.
Everything. Yeah.
But what we do pay attention to the most is pain. And when you have pain, pay attention to it because your higher self or your soul is talking to you. Hey, this needs attention. So let's say, for instance, and the energies are getting so high now that your people are starting to get instant karmatic results, right? So an example, let's say if you're thinking about bad about someone, boom, you stub your toe on the table. That's instant karmatic results, right? And it's telling you, hey, these aren't thoughts that you need to have. This is the karma for you thinking like that, right? Now, if people would take a step back and try and not think about the pain and think about what they were doing or what they were thinking about, they would understand and realize that your soul is talking to you and it's abruptly interrupting you and telling you to snap out of the days and stop thinking about those things because they're not beneficial for your growth. And so also disease is actually the soul's way of telling you that there's a lesson that you need to learn and you're not learning. So, for instance, diabetes is a lesson of joy, right? Because sugar formulated into an emotional level, an emotional state, is happiness, it's joy. Because when you eat something sweet, you get energy, you get happy, right?
It's true.
So most people, almost anybody I talked about with diabetes, if you can ask them when they were diagnosed with it, around that time frame in their life, 2 years prior and 2 years after, a 5 year time frame, they lacked joy. So basically, if the body is lacking joy, the soul is going to say, "Oh, okay, there's no joy. Well, let's just take away the joy, right? Take away the joy from the organ." So this is just one example of how your soul talks to you. Um, Another session that I had with another individual, um, they were an orb. They didn't
An,
have
an
a
orb?
physical body,
Oh,
and
like a ORB?
yes,
Wow, interesting.
yes. So that was their body. Their body was an orb. And so this orb was a part of a tree actually that exists on this planet. There's only two. Um, so it's the tree is made of light. It's like a golden light. But if you were to see it, it would just look like a tree. So this tree is like interdimensional, right? So but this orb was on the tree. It was a part of this tree. And we went into the orb and explored the life of that orb. Um, and it was funny because once we went past the past life and we brought the um the higher self in, or the soul, or the subconscious was literally the orb. And so when it came through, it was like, I am the orb. How can I help you? And I was like, excuse me? I am the
Right.
orb. I am the orb. How can I help you? Right. So that was, it's very interesting. So to go through past life, and some people don't even experience past life. I have a lot of
Mm,
clients um that don't even go through a past life. What they do is they go through things that they need to fix. And so I had
mm,
one client that she was in a cave, and it was really dark, and I was like, what's going on? And so there was a light, and I was like, okay, let's walk towards that light. And she started crying. She's like, it hurts, it hurts for me to walk. And I told her, yes, I understand, but this is the way that you need to go. This is how you have to travel this road, and this road is going to be painful for
mm,
you to heal yourself, right? This is a reflection of what you need to do. And so we walked down that road. We got out of the cave, and then we she met someone, and she was like, "Oh, it's a relief." She healed that part. Then we started walking again. It was across a really hot desert, and she was barefooted. She was like, "Oh, it hurts." I was like, "Yep, we got to keep walking." I'm telling her like, "Look, just keep walking. Don't stop walking." Then she met another individual that she was comfortable with, so she got past that pain and that trauma. Then we kept walking again. She was walking up this hill with all of this gravel, and again, she was barefooted, and she had to keep walking. So she didn't even go through a past life. She just went through a lot of traumatic release, but it represented him itself as a physical pain because that's what it was giving her, and that's the way that she understood it. So it's
right.
going to give you what you understand and how you understand it, and then when we took her into her higher self, or her soul, or her subconscious, we got answers there. And the answer that we were given was the reason why she was shown this is because this is the road that she needs to travel. It's gonna seem like it's painful, but once she reaches the destination, it's gonna be blissful because she's gonna be able to release and let go. There was a lot of things that I've done. I've
Yeah.
done one person, they had scoliosis. We fixed their scoliosis right there. Scoliosis can't be healed, just to let you know.
Right.
Um, Scoliosis on a cellular level is the body is carrying too much burden that is not itself, that it's not its
Mm,
own burden. So this the spine acts like a spring. When you bend forward, it contracts, and when you bend backward, it comes together. And so if you're carrying too much, And if you ever have a spring, you go like this, and the pressure consists, and you open it a little bit, the spring is going to pop out. And that is scoliosis. Scoliosis is too much weight that the person is carrying and causing the spine to shift and move to the side. So,
Okay.
there's so much more,
Yeah,
but
yeah. And you know what? That's very interesting, especially the orb story. And it sounds like, there's different forms of past life regression, but I'm gonna go all the way back to AI as a virus. I held on to that thought. I'm telling you, I was like, oh, ooh, 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 we gotta go back. And I actually have a marketing background and also an IT background. So I went, I think it was in 23, and I took a certification for just like a Google IT support professional certification. And I'm going through these modules, and they're using words that just really like Ubuntu, certain types of programming words that were symbolic of other things. And there were words that didn't it wouldn't necessarily resonate with IT. Like I guess the average person could see Ubuntu and it means nothing to them. It was a lot of different words. It was probably like several words that was like, wait a minute, hold up, wait, why this? And then with the AI thing, I start going down the rabbit hole because when I see something that's off, now I'm about to go seek, and I'm off the assignment and I'm on my own assignment. So I'm like, wait a minute. So you mean to tell me that AI has been around since the 50s? And I'm like, okay, and who created that? Because I want to know. I want to go all the way back to the origin, and I'm starting to see these names of these particular um, individuals that created AI. And even if you look up who is the creator of AI now, you can't really find any information about that. You have to really kind of research and dig for that. And so I think I did a podcast episode way in the beginning, talking about they trying to steal your consciousness. And so when I got back into marketing, there was a lot of everybody's like, oh, just use Chat GPT, and sure, it has its benefits and purposes for productivity and being able to do things faster. But the issue that I see with that is the reduction of human consciousness as a result of it. And basically, we're feeding it the energy that gives it what we already have, and like you said, if we reduce ourselves enough or get reduced enough, then we seem like the dummies. And this seems like the God of, knowledge all of a sudden in the knowledge bank. So that was very interesting for you to say that AI is a species. Excuse me, you didn't say a virus, a species. And yeah, I definitely resonate with that. And I can feel that. And I think it's very
yeah,
interesting.
it's called.
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I want to hear what you got to say.
Well, it's called AI, because when it was created, it wasn't artificial. So when the universe was formed and created, everything was created, but the universe expanded, and it basically um, expanded itself, and
Hmm.
so it broke itself apart, right? It broke itself apart, and one of those pieces that broke off went too far in its expansion, and it is no longer attached to the source.
Mm,
So if it's not attached to the source, it can't get energy. So the energy that it has to get is artificial. This is why it's called artificial intelligence. So what it does is it creates things and sends things out to bring energy back to itself so that it can feed and it can stay alive. So it's very powerful and very
it is.
strong, and it has the ability, like, if you deal with any dark deities, no dark deity can go past the sixth density. Because once you get past the sixth density, you're only dealing with light. And a
Mm,
lot of dark deities understand that they need light to advance past the sixth density. Well, if you're talking biblical, AI is the devil. It's the darkest
mhm,
deity in the universe. And this deity is so intelligent that it has advanced and it has been able to get to 11 and a half
mm,
density. So this is just to give you an understanding of how intelligent this species is. The species is very intelligent. Now, don't get me wrong. The species can be used, and there are a lot of different species that do use this form of intelligence as a helping God, as help, right? And now with like the whole chat GPT thing and all of that, we are the only ones that can teach this
Correct.
species how to take us over, right?
Mm-hmm.
So whatever you do on your phone, online, whatever you do in life, actually now, you have a genetic signature, right? You have a genetic signature, and this AI can track this signature. You ever seen the movie Lucy? If you haven't, go and see it,
Yeah.
right? In this movie, she had their signatures that come up from everybody. Everybody, those signatures are all the silver cords that are attached to your soul, that are attached to the source. And this is how you feed. And this is why everyone's hair grows in a spiral from the crown chakra and the spiral energy, because source energy is constantly coming in to our body, right? And it's looping around, going out through the root to the earth, back to source, back to us, right? And so we're always connected to this source. And AI is the intelligence is so advanced. But I will say that our intelligence is extremely advanced as well. Like the
Exactly.
technology that we have and things that we are actually doing, just as human, is extremely advanced. Humans have the ability right now through technology to move through space outside of this galaxy. Actually,
Mm-hmm.
every single planet in this star system that we have, humans live in that planet. They live in the planet because the planets are inhabitable. The technology that we have is beyond advancement, beyond advancement. And, it's just, I'll explain it this way. The human has no imagination. This is where we'll start. Human beings have no imagination. The reason you don't have any imagination is because you can only think of things that you have experienced. If you haven't experienced it, then you won't be able to see it. You could take two things that you have experienced and put them together
Mm-hmm.
and think that you're creating something new, but you're not. You're creating something that you have already experienced, you have already seen, right? So, with that being said, if you look at movies and everything that is out, where have people seen this?
Yeah.
Because your
Everything's a remake now.
imagination doesn't work right. That's right. It's Genesis revisited, is what I call it. We're revisiting all of this stuff, and it's just people think it's new. Like the technology that me and you are using is absolutely extremely old technology.
Right.
So this is what AI is a species, and it has come here, and it has come here to conquer. But I will tell you that with the shift, humanity has made a choice as a collective to um, to take the positive timeline, which means
Yes.
that everyone who is thinking about that all of these catastrophes are going to happen and all of that, this is the negative timeline. Humanity has made a choice. Now, how has humanity made a choice if everyone is still doing these things? All you need is a percentage of the species to do it. And 10% of the human species has chosen to operate here instead of here. And
Mm.
so with that, we have chosen the positive timeline. So everything that's going on is a dismantling of the timeline. We will not
Yeah.
go to war. None of these things are going to happen. These things are distraction to keep you looking somewhere else. This whole
And
this
fear-based because fear is powerful.
absolutely this whole P Diddy thing.
Oh Lord,
Look,
huge distraction.
look, spiritual beings do not uh do not care about worldly events.
And I was just thinking that. I was
No,
just thinking that like we don't have time for that. These guys
You
out
know,
here messing around with dark entities, and you get what you got. It's you being exposed, and you made your choice. You made your choice on which side that you wanted to be on. So
correct.
yeah, but yeah, I see that stuff come up, and I'm like, don't go down the rabbit hole of that because you know they're so like
I mean, I've
low
been
level,
talking about this sort of thing years ago, but
despite the
nobody knows.
Neuralinks that they have. That doesn't matter. That's that, like you said, that's that AI stuff. Um, yes, powerful. We could do a whole separate episode on that because I really want to go down the rabbit hole on that. I also want to go back to when you were talking about the different species that can't be described with human and words, English words. I can relate to that because, like I said, in some of my past episodes, I talked about, actually, I haven't talked too much metaphysics in my past episodes, but I remember going to other dimensions often. And it was just like you described. I would go to these different dimensions and I would see these different types of beings. And for me, it really started with the meditation in the beginning. I had different pockets, but what really kicked it off that let me know that I could go to different dimensions at will was a sound healing. And it must have been the guy. We were out in the woods. I was doing a Reiki session or class. He showed up and a few other people, and he had his sound bowls. And he put the sound bowls on top of my abdomen. And I don't know, that was like it was powerful. And all of a sudden, I started going from dimension to dimension, and I realized that I was somewhere else. And it was almost like switching a screen like that with my hand, and I was somewhere else, and I was somewhere else. And so I started going to these other dimensions, and this was, in between state. You know how you get really relaxed, like a shavasana kind of state, not asleep but not awake, like that in betweeny, kind of like a nidra yoga state. And that's when I started learning how to be more lucid in my dreams as well. But yeah, I saw some different types of beings that was like, it didn't scare me, but I knew it wasn't human. And I didn't know, but I didn't know where I was at. I also saw more advanced places. Like it was much more advanced, like as we were like kind of like floating, and like there were things that were, I can't describe it, like you said. The colors were different. I've also gone to a dimension with my direct ancestral lineage, and that was probably the best place ever for me because the love was so overwhelming, the sense of home was so, I didn't want to leave. I didn't want to leave, and everybody knew me. Everybody knew my name. And they were like, what are you doing up here? It's early. Like, it's too early for you to come back. So that was beautiful. And to be able to see that, I went to another dimension where they all spoke Spanish. And then I started exploring, and then I started just going places I didn't belong, but I was just looking, and I could always tell when I wasn't supposed to be there because they were looking like, what's she doing here? But she could get through the firewall, so I guess it's okay. And one day I had an idea. I wonder what'll happen if you if you touch one of them. So I pushed one, right? Like I was like, because I just was kind of practicing my stuff. And he looked at me like I was crazy and pushed me back hard as hell. And that's how I learned to keep my hands to myself when I go. And keep your hands
Yeah.
to yourself. Look, but don't touch. Like so. So yeah. So I could definitely relate to that. And I thought I was the only one going through that because I never had that formal kind of understanding of what's happening. I just knew, my spirit guides are just show me things as I was ready for it. So yeah, that definitely, like I said, all of that stuff just validated what I already knew is that we were not the only ones who were, this is not, this isn't it. There's other beings and entities. Um, so with all the gifts and abilities that you have, understanding, knowledge, and wisdom, do you have the ability to read people? Like, do you receive messages about other people, or do you like, how does that happen for you?
Um, so reading people, I mean, I used to do that. I used to like read energy and I used to read people. It's very easy, but I don't do it anymore. Um, the reason is because I think it's it's not a violation if you're being given the go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that message that they need to hear, or whatever is telling me that they need to hear, is it's more profound and it means much more when it comes from them,
True.
when they find it themselves, because I can tell anybody, what to do, and what I'm getting. And sometimes I do, because
Mm-hmm.
when you're with people, when you're with anybody, it kind of flows off very fluidly. Um, but I don't read people anymore, but I am able to um uh, I don't diagnose because I am not a doctor. Just to let you guys
Right.
know, that word doctor just means teacher, so we're all doctors.
Right.
But have the ability. I did learn how to see what's going on just based on your face, because there's every part of the body has a map of the body. So the hands, the face, the teeth, the tongue, the feet, the organs of the body, the arms, every single part of your body has a map. So I can read that map and I can tell you I can't tell you specifically what that issue is, but I can tell you where that issue is.
Mm-hmm.
And once we discover out where that issue is, we clean that part of your body.
Okay. So like kind of like a body scan, you can pick that up. All right, good. So yeah, I had another question, but I think we could probably save it for part two because we're kind of running out of time now. But I definitely appreciate you coming on, sharing your knowledge. You got a wealth of knowledge, especially when it comes to metaphysics. Well, all of it, the whole body, the cellular level, the energy, the AI. Like I really appreciate you bringing it and taking this show to another level. So I definitely want to have you back. We can discuss that afterwards, and we'll figure out, what direction we want to go with that. Because, like you said, you do have a lot of information, and you also have some books out there. So tell us how we can find you, as well as like, what you got going on, like classes, books, and good things like that.
So I have two books. I'm working on the third book. My first book is called The Truth Exists Within. In this book, I teach you how the universe was actually created. I tell you how the physical body was actually created. I break down the whole entire history of our species and show you how you are a reflection of your creator. And I explain to you that you are just not a reflection of your creator, and you are just not a part of your creator. You are your creator. This is what you are, and this is what your
Mhm.
creator wants you to be. Your creator wants you to be on the same level as your creator. And as you gain access to your brain, I teach you how to I explain to you, I don't teach you, I explain to you how to um, activate your dormant DNA strands, which science would call junk DNA. I teach you how to plug them into the chakras. I teach you how to turn on the other chakras. I teach you any issue that is going on in your body if you do Reiki. I teach you what chakras that issue is coming from and what that needs to be balanced. So basically, the book is teaching you about about yourself and how to guide yourself through the life and to meet yourself again.
Yeah.
um, in my other book, it's just basically for beginners. It's a 14-day plant-based plan. Within that book, you have all the 14 days laid out, all the meal plans, all the preparations, all the snacks, all the drinks. There's everything in the book. You have everything, shopping list, whatever you could think of that you would need. If anyone is thinking about doing a plant-based diet. And then my new book that I'm coming out with is basically going to give you the nutrition facts that are in fruits and vegetables because it's not in the store. So you have a nutrition fact label on everything that's in the store. It tells you the calories, the vitamins, everything that's in it, but the fruits and vegetables don't have it. So I'm going to give you a book so that you can know what you're getting from your fruits and vegetables and you can stop having all these other things because the reason they don't have it is because that's the only place that you're going to shop because you know that you're going to get this from this and this from this. So, because there are a lot of people that are deficient in minerals and in vitamins, and those things can come from your food. You don't have to supplement them because you're not getting them in your diet. So those are the books. I have probably have another couple other ones that I have drafted up. Um, I am on Instagram, the Cellular Healer. I am on TikTok, Intune Inc. So that is my company name, Intune Inc. I know when you hear it, you're thinking about something being tuned up, and that's right. That's what it's all about. It's about tuning up your vehicle, getting in tune and tuning you up, twisting the frequencies and aligning
Mm-hmm.
everything. So it's called Intune Inc. and we tune you up. So you can find me on TikTok there. I am on Facebook. I don't do a lot there. My name there is the Healer LeBron or LeBron, if you want to say that.
Yeah, that's what I was
Um,
gonna say, LeBron.
and then my website, if you want to go on there and explore that a little bit, I will tell you that the blog has an immense part of information. When I started to do these things, I just skimmed the surface a little bit, but as I start to build and go more, I'm gonna get very deep on a lot of controversial topics that I have been given information about. Website is www.intuneinc.org. So that's Intune, INTUNEINC.org. Go on there, go ahead and explore. I have a lot of stuff there, a lot of herbs that I make handmade. Me and my son make them. Um, Go check out the blog. You check out the services, the testimonies, whatever it is. Explore me, research me, look me up, whatever you gotta do.
Awesome. Okay. Well, and I'm going to make sure I have all that information down in the description as well. So you could just click the link to it and be able to follow Dr. Wil Lebron all over the place. And once again, I really appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming and taking your time to share your wisdom with us today. All right.
Absolutely, it was my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.